Hey guys. Alright, so the video down below is from Tulsi Gabbard's YouTube channel. And this is really what more politicians need to do. They need to get active on social media. If they learned anything from the 2016 election, you could see that Trump kind of has a very uncanny ability to navigate social media and to stir things up. And Tulsi, to her credit, she's done the same. So anyways, the video down below, that's basically just a 7-minute clip of her during the debate. It's pretty much the only amount of time they'd allow her to speak because, they didn't want her attacking any other candidates. There was a moment, I think this was the second or third debate, where Tulsi had attacked Kamala Harris on her record as California DA. And she just completely tore her to shreds. And Sticks called it. They really limited her time because they were afraid that she was going to go after Elizabeth Warren. I mean, Jesus, Elizabeth Warren, that is some low-hanging fruit right there. You could really just throw a dart at a dartboard and just kind of pick something. She's a really messed up person. But Tulsi, in the video down below, I really have to just kind of echo this sentiment because I feel like it's happening on both sides of the political spectrum. Those who are considered fringe. So on the right you have Trump's base, and then on the left you've got the Jimmy Dore crowd. And the Jimmy Dore crowd and Tulsi seem to mesh very well. They're very anti-war, anti-censorship. They're socialist bent, but at least they are. They're based in their own regard. So Tulsi, she came out and said, "Well, I was watching CNN and I saw a commentator," and she's referring to former South Carolina House member Bakari Sellers, Democrat. She said that she heard him saying that, it's a known fact that Tulsi is a Russian asset, and she called those accusations, among others, very despicable. And I have to say the same thing about Trump's base and the people that support Trump, because I hear a lot of people say that it's just filled with white supremacists, with KKK sympathizers, and all this bullshit. It's basically the same thing. And Russian bots, for what it's worth. That's kind of the common ground that Trump's base and the Jimmy Dore crowd kind of hold. They're constantly called Russian bots because they share different opinions. They're essentially guilty of wrongthink. Now, a lot of people say, if you're anti-war, if you're anti-intervention in Syria, then you're basically carrying water for Putin and the Kremlin. I mean, it's really funny. We've gotten to the point where we have all these people in the legacy media, which we all know is controlled by the CIA. They're basically saying if you're anti-war, then you're a Russian bot. You're essentially a white supremacist, if depending on which side of the aisle you're on. It's unbelievable. It really is. And it really is despicable. And I think that a lot of us here in the United States are pretty fed up with it. Even the people that don't agree with each other, I think it's despicable that people call the Jimmy Dore crowd Russian bots. And I think it's despicable that people call us white supremacists. It's absolute bullshit. And, all we want for our country is stronger borders, lower taxes, no more wars, and just a sense of goodness in this country, and a sense of law and order, because we all know that the far left doesn't want anything like that. And it's an absolute shame that they've managed to brainwash so many people into thinking that their policies and their ideas are for the better, which they're really not. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at this. I'm on a street right now that's literally covered in feces. The remainder of feces. They spray it down with the hose. And it is getting better, to the city of Santa Cruz's credit. They have been really cleaning things up. I mean, they got rid of the tent city. You go by the Roland Family Shelter, there's less people outside with their trash and their cars. They really are cleaning things up, but there are parts of the country like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Miami, as we've heard more recently, New York, Chicago, probably parts of Austin. Just take your pick for any city. things are going really bad because a lot of these people who are far left have gotten in positions of power, and they are, whether they're willingly allowing this to happen or not, I think most of them are just too stupid. They're incompetent. They don't know how to run a city. In fact, I think a lot of them let their heartstrings get tugged on, so they say, well, we got to help the homeless, and really, you're not helping the homeless by giving them free needles and basically, encouraging this type of behavior. Like, for example, I think in San Francisco, Salty Cracker was talking about this, who's, by the way, a San Francisco resident. It just goes to show you there's a lot of people who lean right here in California. Myself, Salty, Mark Dice, WCAM Studios, Jericho Green. Anyway, Salty was saying that there's actually some type of deal in San Francisco where if you steal less than a certain amount of money in terms of value of property, then the police can't even prosecute you. That's completely giving the criminals the upper hand there, because you're basically saying, oh, it's okay to steal as long as you steal under this amount. So a lot of these people are putting in laws that are protecting the criminals. And for that, they ought to be thrown into prison, honestly. I agree with Martin. We ought to be throwing these people into jail and taking a good hard look at what they've been doing piece by piece and charge them appropriately, because these people are ruining the country as far as I'm concerned. And both the people on the left and the right can agree this. People in the Jimmy Dore crowd and people in Trump's base, we all agree that the leadership in this country is really poor, and we need to do something to stop it, because if we don't, then we will not have a country. We'll essentially just become yet another shithole filled with a bunch of brain-dead NPCs that are basically just doing whatever the fuck the government wants. Government basically uploads instructions for them. They follow suit because they're NPCs. They don't have any control over themselves. They have no free will. God, I hope that we don't get there, honestly. And I just had to go on that rant because it's pretty sickening. All these people that say, well, you're a white supremacist if you want, tighter borders and lower taxes. Honestly, take a good look at yourself and your argument and really just think about how you look, honestly. Think about how ridiculous you look to the rest of the country, because 80% of the country is on Trump's side. And when we come out in full force in 2020, you're going to see that. And I want to just say on a more positive note, you guys too will come around. You guys will jump on the train eventually, the Trump train. And you're going to say, you know what, he wasn't such a bad president. He wasn't far right. He was actually a very great centrist. And that's honestly what this country needs. So that's all I got to say, guys. All right. Thank you so much for watching. God bless. I'll see you later.